Hello, here we're going to learn to work the make one right and make one left leaning increase. In the ptarmigan pullover pattern, I have written that there's always an increase to the right of the stitch marker. There could be an increase to the right of the stitch marker, and always a right leaning increase to the right of the marker and a left leaning increase to the left of the marker. So this is actually not to signify the body portion, but to signify the marker signifies the raglan increase, where the raglan happens. So it could be the body section or it could be the shoulder section, just depends. Okay, so we're going to knit to one stitch before the marker. There's one stitch before the marker, and between these two stitches I have a ladder. These are ladders here. I'm going to pick up this ladder and place it on my needle. It is now pointing from the bottom left to the top right. It's going in this direction. So to me, that's a make right, and I want to knit into the front of that. But if it's pointing this way, I can clearly see that it is moving. It is going in this direction, which is pointing towards my left. So I'm going to place the yarn over top of my left needle and work the front of it. And this is my little trick that I do. I lift up my yarn, pinch it with my index finger, or however you'll figure it out, just to give it a little extra room. And then I'll knit that stitch. I'm knitting it through the front so that I twist it, and you can see that it has twisted right here and closed that gap here, because had I knit it into the back of the loop like we usually do, we usually would work the right side of the stitch, it creates an eyelet, quite a large eyelet. Now that is a make one increase, but it's not a make one right leaning increase. So I'm going to pull that up off, put it back onto my left needle, and knit into the front of the stitch. Knit one, slip marker, knit one, and here is my ladder. I'm going to lift it up, I'm going to put it onto my needle, and now when I look at this, it is pointing towards the right, but I need a left leaning increase. So I'm going to put it the other way, and I'm going to knit. If I knit into the right leg, I get an eyelet. But if I knit into the back of the stitch, and this is what I do, I kind of squiggle them like this. I wiggle them around. So I've got my right needle into the back of the stitch. I knit that, and it crosses over and closes up that gap. So let's knit to the end. I'm going to knit a section, the stockinette, for a little bit. So the short rows show us that we'll be working the front, the right side of the fabric, and also the wrong side of the fabric. So, we'll be working the increases on the stockinette side and the reverse stockinette side. So this is the reverse stockinette or the purl side, or the wrong side of the work. Okay, one more row of stockinette, of knitting. Isn't it interesting how the word knitting means to work fabric, but also specifically this knit on one side, purl on the wrong side. Knitting. Yep. Okay. So, if we were working, when we are working on the wrong side of the fabric, and you can see here, let's see if I can increase that a bit larger for you to see. Here we have the middle of the raglan detail. This was the right leaning increase, and that's the left leaning increase. This side of the V is going in that direction, and therefore the work is going to go into that direction. This side of the V is showing this way, and it in the right direction, not just the correct direction, but the right leaning way, and the work will also go in this direction. You can even see already how the work is moving. It's bowing out. So let's purl to one stitch before the marker. Oh, I'll bring this back down. Boop, 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 boop. That's okay, huh? Purl to one stitch before the marker. But because this is the left side of the work, this is the left side of the marker, we're going to make one left purl. Again, we will pick up the bar between the stitches from front to back and place it onto the needle. I'm going to purl into the back of this stitch, and this is a bit squeaky, but I push my end of my needle. I'm working at the tip of the needle where my needles are the most narrow, and I'm going to work that needle in and bring it here because I want to work on the right side of this stitch, and I'm going to wrap that and purl it. There we go. So we've crossed that stitch, we knit one, slip the marker, purl one, sorry I said knit one, and now we're working a make one right leaning purlwise. We're going to pick up the bar between stitches from back to front, and we're going to place it on a needle. I'm going to go there from back to front and purl into the front of the stitch. And there we have a make one increase. Now I'm going to knit stockinette for another row or two, and let's take a look at the work. Here, let's there's that new stitch that we made. Slip the marker. Now let's take a look. So now we're starting to see the work really bowing out quite nicely. Helps when I spread out the stitches. Here we have the raglan detail, we have the 2 increases on the left that we've made, and it's starting to make the fabric angle out towards the left. Here are the 2 increases to the right that we made, and the fabric is sculpting to the right. It's just so beautiful. I think that's really cool. Thank you.